So last Wednesday, I was getting ready for school. Just woke up, took a shower, ate breakfast. However, when I went to my car, I went to start the engine. The battery was dead. I'm sure it's happened to many of you. Well, my parents went around. I didn't have any jumper cables. I didn't have AAA. I couldn't just call them up. However, unfortunately, my car is a stick shift. So what I did, I took it to the top of a hill, put my engine on, and what is known as a push start. Got going up to about 5-10 miles per hour, and started the car without ever needing a jump start. So what I'm going to be talking to you about today is how to drive a stick shift. So first, I'm going to describe the key differences between a stick shift and an automatic. Then I'm going to actually show you how to drive a stick shift, and then also talk about the benefits of driving a stick shift. First. Okay. So the first main difference that you need to know is, just like a automatic, there's the gas, brake. It's like the pedals, so your gas, your brake pedal, and then next to that is what is known as the clutch. What the clutch does, it helps you shift from gear to gear. So this is where your feet is. And then the next thing you need to know is next to the speedometer is the RPMs. And it goes from 1, 2, 3, 6. Usually goes all the way to about 6,000 RPMs. This is important because it can help you engaging when to shift from each gear to gear. And then the next is the actual gearbox itself. Okay. You have first gear, second, third, fourth, fifth, and then usually reverse is in that position. So now that I've talked about the differences between a stick shift and automatic, I'm going to actually show you how to drive a stick shift. Okay. So unfortunately, since I couldn't get a car in here to show you, I'm going to do my best to just showing you how to do it with my feet and pedals. So normally you get into the car just like a regular car, put your key in the engine, but to start the car you first have to press in the clutch with your foot all the way in, and then you can start the engine. And then you want to put it into neutral, which will I'll show you. Neutral is the position right in front of here, right in the middle. That's neutral. So you have it in neutral, and then you can take the clutch off. Then you first you want to practice just pressing the gas, seeing how it adjusts to the RPMs. So you first take it to 2,000 RPMs. That's the position you want to take it so you can start it. So just keep pressing the gas and seeing how it adjusts, because each car is different, the amount of gas it takes to actually move it. So just keep messing around with that, and then once you start to get it, you push your clutch in and move it into first gear, and then what you do is you shift off of the clutch and then onto the gas. But you want to first gas it to 2,000 RPMs, then let off of the clutch, and the car will start to move. So you just keep gassing it until it gets to about 4,500 RPMs, and then you can switch to the next gear. So once you get to the next gear, you want to let off the gas, push the clutch in, and move it to the next gear, release the clutch, and give it to the gas. Now moving from first all the way to fifth gear, it's not that hard. The hardest part is from the start position. So once you get out of first gear, moving the gears is not too hard. And then that's about it. And then now that I've shown you how to drive a clutch, I want to talk about the benefits of actually driving the clutch. Now the benefits, as I mentioned to you in the introduction, is if you run out of your battery runs out, you can just do what's known as the push start, just getting it about 5 to 10 miles per hour, and engaging the clutch in the engine, and it will pop, and it will start the engine. The next benefit of having a stick shift is, instead of you're always having to do something, move your arms and stuff, so it's not as easy to multitask. You're not able to text or have a coffee in your hand. You have to concentrate much more on driving. So, in conclusion, I showed you the key differences between an automatic and manual transmission. I showed you how to drive a manual transmission, and then also showed you the benefits of driving a manual transmission. Thank you. Right now I'm at 91 top. Like a jet, isn't it?
All right, in the opening, the personal experience is fine. You've got a pretty clear thesis statement and a preview. So at the start, I think you're setting things up pretty well. I just didn't think that the speech developed very well in terms of content. When you started drawing the picture and you're showing us that, it seemed to me like you were underprepared, that you're winging it as you're going along, you're making stuff up instead of planning it and having practiced it. The second section, when you're demonstrating the process of shifting through the gears and using the clutch pedal, I think this is one of those things that you need to go through a chronological process on this, and I didn't really feel like you clarified it. It's hard enough to explain what it is you're talking about doing without being able to see it or do it. It's when you say it's relatively easy, I'm not sure that you explain why it's relatively easy. And when you use the term pop in the clutch, that's one of those things I would expect. If somebody was trying to drive a stick based on your description, I think that they would be popping the clutch on a regular basis every time they were shifting gears, because you don't really clarify how you make that shift. I think you might have had an interesting idea to talk about if you'd stuck with the notion of what the advantages are of driving a clutch, and maybe talking about or driving a manual transmission instead of trying to explain how to do it. Talk about the control that you have, the absence of distractions, the notion that you can do certain things that you wouldn't be able to do otherwise, and develop a speech around those ideas. I think it would feel a little bit more like it's a substantive speech. This sounds like you're explaining to somebody the first time out how to drive this before you're going to get them in the car. So it's instructive in nature, but it doesn't feel much like a speech. It feels a little bit like a string of ideas that have been put together, and it's a lot like that opening presentation that we had people do. Well, here's a piece of information about this person, here's another piece of information about this person, here's another piece of information about the person, but it doesn't fit together as a whole, and I think that that's a problem. The presentation issues, you do an okay job talking to the audience. Your voice is fine. You seem animated while you're speaking to us. You've got a few gestures that work into it. Like I said, the part where you're drawing on the piece of paper and you're using the camera to show that, I'm trying to figure out why you're not doing it on the board, and then of course I would be telling you this is something that should have been planned ahead of time as opposed to something that you're just winging at the moment. All right, thank you.